What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Frozen Road Podcast. I'm your host, John Hunter, and I know I usually do Thursday nights. It's usually going to be my normal time, but since New Year's Eve is Thursday, I decided to ask Archie if I could do one day during the week, and I decided to do today. It was kind of spur of the moment, but I wanted to get something in, especially because of all the news that happened recently with the trades and stuff like that, and yeah, I just wanted to get everything going with that. And we got before I start, I want to say to give it. This is the Manscaped. Manscaped is what we do. That's one of our sponsors here, and I wanted to the promo code is Buzz 2020. You get 20% off on each purchase on your first purchase, and you get free shipping as well. But yeah, we got crazy 24 hours in baseball. We had Blake Snell traded, and that was wild. I'm not. It's pretty crazy that he went to the Padres, who are just ready to just. It seems like they're ready to take over the NL West and take over pretty much take over the Dodgers, who just won the World Series. They want to compete. They're ready. They are definitely ready to compete. And so we have two things that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the trade, and I want to talk about my Hall of Fame ballot, which classic. I would love to one day have my own vote. But yeah, I made my own ballot, and yeah, I'm gonna start off with the trade talk. The trade talk, we had, like I said, we had Blake Snell traded. Blake Snell was in a $5 million deal. Yeah, $5 million deal. It was Blake Snell was traded to the San Diego Padres in exchange for three prospects and a former prospect. We had Luis Patino, Cole Wilcox, who actually I believe was just drafted by the Padres this year. Francisco Mejia, who has been a great prospect in my opinion. He was going to be a great prospect for them, and he just ended up kind of crapping out. He really didn't. He had a rough time in catching on in San Diego, but a team like the I think a team like the Rays can really get the best out of him and get the most out of him. To be honest, I really do. I think that's going to be a really really good marriage with them too, especially because of last year. I wasn't a huge fan of what they got out of Mike Zunino. I think Mike Zunino's kind of just like, especially in the World Series, he just looked like shit when it came to catching. I feel like he was just pass balls. It was a mess. Can't hit. He struggles hitting. And but yeah, I thought that was a good move for them, and just a classic Rays move. It's a classic move to help them get to the next level, like they always do, and get the most out of small amounts. But I was a big fan of I was and I'm a fan for the Padres too. I mean, they got a nice former Cy Young Award winner in Blake Snell, and it's funny because they didn't even stop there. Then today they ended up going after Darvish. I didn't see everything that was in the trade. I just was when I was looking before we came on. There was still a lot of I feel like there was still a lot of things that were going on, but Darvish also traded to the Padres from the Cubs for Victor Caratini, and I saw Zach Davies was going to be a part of that trade, and then that was and a couple prospects and an MLB ready player is what is the last I saw. If anyone knows anything else, why I'm on here, please throw that out there. But it was pretty incredible that they were able to do that. Just they're showing that they want to win. They definitely 100% want to win, and they're ready. They're ready to take over the NL West, and they're ready to show the Dodgers that they're not the only team in the West anymore. And it's awesome to see, to be honest, because they need it. They need competition there. The Dodgers need competition, to be honest. So that was just two. crazy trades in the last 24 hours for the Padres to really lift them. And and then we also saw, I saw him just comment it. The San Diego Padres reached a deal with KBO star Hai Seung Kim, batted 306 with 30 home runs, 109 RBIs, 111 runs scored, and 23 stolen bases in the last season. I mean, they're ready. They are 100% ready to start competing and to compete higher than they were last year. And we all got introduced to Slam Diego last year, which was awesome. We got young. They have a great young core. Then they added a nice veteran bat. They added a nice veteran bat and Manny Machado 2 years ago, and now it's just they're ready to hit the ground running. They're doing exactly what they've told Manny Machado they were going to do. They're going to compete, and I think that is fantastic. And that's what they need to do. They need to compete because the Dodgers can't just be sitting there by themselves and continuously winning that division with no competition. It's starting to get it was starting to get a little bit boring seeing them in the World Series every year. So it is. It's good to see that. I'm a big fan of that. I also there was another trade. There was another move that I saw. I actually screenshotted it. Yeah, I saw that as well. But he is as his personal catcher, and I think that was a big reason on why he went there, because they said that he wanted him to. It was I saw that the Wilson Contreras was also being talked about, but I think Caratini being Yu Darvish's personal catcher is a big reason why he went there. Then there's more news out of Philly again with JT Realmuto. JT Realmuto from this is from John Heyman. He remains the top priority for the Phillies with the new regime. They have an offer out to him, but like with other big free agents, it might be a waiting game. Just sign, JT. Just sign. Your off whatever offer you're getting right now is probably going to be your best offer. It's going to be your best offer because you already saw last, was it 2 weeks ago now, the market was set at catcher. Now it's time to just sign, or it's either you or sign a 1 year deal. I've been saying that, sign a 1 year deal. Just do it. It's a better move. Like just so you can go in, then maybe you can go into next year. Figure it out, but sign on a team right now. I think the Phillies still are the best look for him. They're his best option. So that's what I would like to see. I would like definitely see them do that. I also saw, yeah, maybe it's on camera, but yeah, they that was it's been a while, couple days already, and we're hoping that right before the holidays, we're hoping that everything starts heating up now. We're spring training is what, 2 months away, 2-3 months away. We're gonna vert to where we're getting 2 months away. Yeah, 2 months away. It's almost February, so they're about to start reporting. Things are starting to really start to get going, and or hopefully, I hope everything goes back to normal and they're going to be reporting normally. But who the hell knows with everything going on with the pandemic and everything. So, but yeah, it would be really nice to see a lot of these free agents start to sign so that we have more to talk about, because it's kind of crazy that no one's really signing it. But I think everyone is a little hesitant because of the pandemic and figuring out what the market is. So, but yeah, that's what I got out of that from the two trades from the Padres today. That was just slam dunks. They're like I said, they're ready. So on the buzz, we have a ton of different podcasts. I'll show you. I'm gonna put a promo on for one of them. Here we go. For a couple of them, actually.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I go far. Oh, baby, it's crystal clear. Oh, I'm not a souvenir. Oh, I'm not an accessory, I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now.
What's going on? And here's another one.
Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by a locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, switch. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day.
All right. Now, my next, the main reason why I want to come on here is because the Hall of Fame ballots have to be in, I believe, on the 30th. So I wanted to get on here and give my, my ballot, who I am a big fan of, and the ballot that I filled out. I filled out my own. Yep, I'm a fucking dork, and I did that. So, they say you can put up, I think 10 names. You can X off 10 names, 10 people. So I gave my 10. There's definitely one in here that I think a lot of people will be like, what? Why the fuck would you have him as a Hall of Famer? But I'll explain why. So I have Barry Bonds. I don't care what anybody fucking says. Steroids or not, the dude was a beast, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens. He's the pitching version of Barry Bonds. Deserves to be in the fucking Hall of Fame. Todd Helton. Stop hating on people because they played at Coors Field. They can't help where they play. And Todd Helton is a stud and deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well. Andrew Jones. Hands down, best defensive center fielder I've ever seen. And the fact that he was an absolute unit at the plate too. So he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well. Jeff Kent, best offensive second baseman of all time. Scott Rowland. Yeah, Scott Rowland. Put him in. He deserves to be in it. He's got better numbers than half the third baseman on the list. Already in. Not even on the list. Already in. He's got better stats than half of them that are already in. Put him in the fucking Hall of Fame. He's got one shy, just a little throw. He's one home run less than fucking George Brett. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And he's a better defensive player than George Brett, too. Kurt Schilling. Don't stop. People need to stop worrying about the fact that people don't like people personally. And I think that's a huge thing when it comes to Hall of Fame voting. A lot of people vote personally instead of voting who should be in. Who's the best players? Who should be in the Hall of Fame? Stop voting for, this guy was mean to me. And that's pretty much what all the writers do. Barry Bonds, I feel like, was a dick during his career, and people refused to like him regardless. He probably would have had a hard time, weirdly, regardless of steroids, because of how people perceive him and hated him. So he deserves to be in as well. He's another one. Put him in. Hall of Famer, hands down. Hall of Famer. Who else? Gary Sheffield. I mean, it's another one. He's a part of the steroid era. So the steroid era people are people that get looked down upon. No, he should not be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose should not be in the Hall of Fame. Stop. I don't usually look at these comments, but that's one of the biggest misconceptions in the world. That dude, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a fucking singles hitter. And he shouldn't be in there anyway because of his bullshit that he pulls. And he's even worse because of the statutory rape situation. Stop saying he should be in. He shouldn't be anywhere near a Hall of Fame. Shouldn't even be allowed in Cooperstown. He's a dirtball. Keep him out. Gary Sheffield, 500 home runs. But again, like I said, steroid era. I don't really give a shit about the steroid era. That was a great time in baseball. and it needs to stop being looked at as an asterisk on the whole sport. It shouldn't be, because everyone watched and everyone was loving it. And I'll tell you what, everyone who was around them knew what was going on, and no one stopped it. Wanna know why? Because it was drawing ratings. So again, stop hating on steroids. It doesn't need to be. Put these guys in. They made baseball money, and they kept baseball relevant and kept baseball alive. So, and you know what, we probably wouldn't have much to talk about right now because of how little baseball would be respected if that was the case. So, again, like I said, keep him in. Let the steroid guys in. And my last one was Sammy Sosa. I put Sammy Sosa as a guy that I would vote for. I mean, I guess it's hard because I put all the steroid guys in, but then I didn't put Manny Ramirez in, and I didn't vote for him, which is crazy because, like I've said before, I am a fan of the Red Sox, and Manny Ramirez was a great part of my Red Sox time. But I feel like the other guys kind of just faded away from baseball once the steroids things happened. Manny stayed in and then kept failing tests. So I kind of was just like, all right, Manny, like I might have to leave. Maybe next year. Like I said, maybe next year I'll do one of these and I'll vote for him, just because I feel like he's done his time. But like, I feel like he's just like shit like that was kind of just why I was like, all right, look, I'm probably gonna leave you off. You don't really deserve to be on. Like you probably don't really deserve my vote right now. So that's where I went with that. Um, yeah. So the last but not least, you're probably gonna think it's least, was Bobby Abreu. Bobby Abreu was somebody that I put on the list. I put on my I would have voted for. And people were like, why? He was kind of just a middle, but he was a consistently good ball player. Not very good not very good defensively. Kind of was a mook out there. He really didn't really do anything. He was very robotic, very slow. Didn't really do much. So like he didn't look like he gave much effort. He actually he was quoted by saying, I don't look like I give much effort, and I don't feel like and people might not think I give much effort, but I put my heart and soul into the game. So like I always did. I always liked Bobby Abreu. I thought Bobby Abreu was a great ball player, and he, like I said, it was an on base machine. He always was walking. People used to say if he had, great speed, he could have been a great leadoff hitter. But when he was with the Phillies, they had Jimmy Rollins, who was a leadoff hitter and played and predominantly batted at a leadoff spot. So we didn't really get that opportunity to get on base. But that was old school baseball about how they perceive things. But like he's an on base machine, and in my opinion, he deserves to be voted for because during a steroid era, he was very, very consistent. Was never linked to steroids. I mean, I'm one of those guys who believes that anybody in that era, I can't say that nobody ever did, that certain guys didn't do it because none of us were there. I don't know who did it. I don't know who didn't do it. I don't know who, like, so I can't just point the finger at one guy and say that he did it, but I can promise you he didn't because the whole era did it. So you can't really just pinpoint, one specific person to steroids. I mean, people would just look at Barry Bonds like, well, his hat size grew 5 times. It doesn't really matter because he still had to play baseball. He still had to play the game, and that's something that I think gets misconstrued a lot. That he was just some big dude who just was mashing home runs. No, he was the most feared hitter I've ever seen. I mean, I seen the bases get loaded when he walked. I seen him get walked with the bases loaded to drive a run in. They were that afraid of him that they'd rather give up a run than ever see him because they knew that he probably hit a grand slam off them. That's how good he was. And I think people need to stop fearing the fact that steroids, ruin baseball when really the people who should be more embarrassed are you had a guy like Bud Selig. Bud Selig, for instance, is in the Hall of Fame. He allowed it. He knew what was going on and allowed it. So how can you allow the guy who knew what was going on and did all this, but then was just like, nah, we're gonna pass on the players as if they just didn't get punished for it. It's not right. The whole situation isn't right because you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna let Bud Selig be a Hall of Famer, but you're not going to let Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Andrew, not Andrew, probably Andrew Jones. I mean, Kurt Schilling was the pitcher in that era. Gary Sheffield and Sammy Sosa, guys like that should be in the Hall of Fame. They should be. They're all deserving. They're a very, very deserving group, and I don't know. I think that people really need to start taking into account that maybe steroids aren't weren't the devil like they're like the people would like you to believe they are. But yeah, I mean that's just where I'm at with it, and I mean I have a couple things for my for why I believe I would. I'm tell you what, buddy. I think Alex Rodriguez should definitely be a part, but he's not eligible yet. Absolutely, Dave. Absolutely, they did. Joe Torre, like Dave just said, Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, Tony La Russa, all them managers won with steroid players, and they're all Hall of Famers, and they're none of them are looked at differently. None of them. It's kind of bogus to me, to be honest. I think it sucks. So let them in. Let the players in, because none of those managers would probably be half the managers like as far as like World Series and the way people perceive them as these great managers who win World Series. They probably wouldn't be World Series managers without them guys. But they're glorified, but the other ones are cast aside. This is a big year. This is a big year for the Hall of Fame because we finally probably will get to see some steroid guys in. I hope so. I hope that this is the year. Put that aside. Get past it. We need to get past that. He deserves it. A lot of these guys deserve it. But my Bobby Abreu, I had a Bobby Abreu, some Bobby Abreu's things here on why I believed he should. So I'll run down Bobby Abreu for you. Played for Houston, Phillies, Yankees, and the Angels, and the Dodgers, and the Mets. He's a career 291 hitter, 395 on base, 475 slugging, 288 home runs, 1,363 RBIs, 2,470 hits, 400 stolen bases. I mean, that right there. He's got career walks, 1,476. He's 20th most in Major League Baseball history in walks. I mean, it's kind of crazy that, people have overlooked how great of a career that Bobby Abreu had. He was a super, super good ball player. And I feel like he's just because he wasn't hitting 50 home runs a year, people didn't really look at him as a stud. They didn't look at him as one of the best players in baseball. He's one of 7 players in Major League history with at least 250 home runs and at least 350 stolen bases. He's with Barry Bonds, Ricky Henderson, Derek Jeter, Craig Biggio, Joe Morgan, and Bobby Bonds. The only ones not in the Hall of Fame are the Bondses. Come on. Let him in. He deserves to be in there. He's in an elite group right there. And that's just one of many things that I read. In his first eight superb seasons in Philadelphia, playing mostly for Terry Francona and Larry Bowa, he played at least 157 games, had at least 23 homers, at least 94 RBIs, at least 104 runs scored, 29 stolen bases, and had a slash line of an average of 305, 415 on base, and 519 slugging. Had a career 140 in that time, had a 141 OPS plus and a 5.7 WAR. He makes a very, very compelling argument for himself. And he doesn't get the clout that he deserves. Give him the clout. He deserves it. Then I saw another thing. It was Hall of Fame candidates ranked by WAR. I believe, was from last season because Larry Walker's on here. So Larry Walker had a 72.7 WAR. Kenny Lofton, 68.4. Andrew Jones, 62.7. Gary Sheffield, 60.5. Jim Edmonds, 60.4. Bobby Abreu, 60.2. He actually had a better career WAR than Vladimir Guerrero. Put him in. He deserves it. These are the things I'm talking about. Like you have guys like him who are going to get passed up, and it's a shame. He had just enough to get back onto the ballot this year. He had just enough votes to get back onto the ballot this year. Now, don't make the mistake of having him fall off the ballot. Make sure that he gets voted for because he deserves to be voted for, and more people should be vying for him to get voted for. He deserves it, and I don't know. I believe it's a big thing. But there was a lot of weird guys also put on this ballot. Well, not that they were put on. You have to be if you have 10 years. I believe it's 10 years of major league service, and so like guys like Nick Swisher, Shane Victorino, Billy Wagner, Barry Zito, guys like that were all on there. And I was a big Barry Zito fan. Aramis Ramirez was always a good player too, but didn't really see him as a Hall of Famer. I didn't really think that he was good. He was just one of those players that's good while he was there, while he was in the league. But he was never. I never looked at him and thought this guy has potential to be a Hall of Famer one day. So I kind of passed. I passed on him. I mean, you have Michael Dyer, which was kind of weird. I don't know. I just thought I thought he was kind of a weird guy to remember that him being on there. LaTroy Hawkins. I mean, I really don't ever see him getting in. He's probably going to get left off this year. Dan Herron, probably another one. Mark Burley, he's going to have a compelling argument maybe in like a year or two. It all depends on how the steroid era goes and how the steroid era guys go. If they start allowing them in, then maybe we'll see something different. Maybe we'll see the steroid eras get in because of that, and then you start seeing guys like Mark Burley sneak their way into ballots because people don't want to just make it a whole steroid ballot. They might throw a couple of votes on Mark Burley, which is good because Mark Burley was a very, very good starting pitcher. He did a lot of good things in his time in Chicago with the White Sox, and towards the end there when he went to Florida, it was kind of a iffy time, and he wasn't exactly who he was in Chicago, but there was a long time where he was a very, very good pitcher. He was durable. He was an all-star. He did a lot of things for Chicago, helped them win a world. He was a big part of helping them win a World Series. So I don't know. I think guys like that are definitely going to be people who eventually get in, but I don't know how it's going to translate in them getting in, but it could. It has. I do. I have a big. I'm a big fan of them guys, but just not this year. I want to see them get over that hump and get the steroid guys in, and I'm hoping that that's how it is. And I hope that one day they do get in because they 100% deserve to get in. Guys I left off, who I'm sure some people are probably wondering why. Andy Pettitte. I don't think he was better than. I don't think he was better than, obviously not better than Roger Clemens. He wasn't better than Kurt Schilling. I only put 2 starting pitchers. The rest were all offensive players. The rest were all positional players. I left him off. I don't really think that he should just keep. He was good, but I think he was just a good player while he was. I don't know. I might be wrong. Some people might value him more than I did, but I really didn't value him the way that everyone. I don't value him the way that everybody else does. I think again, just a good player. He was a very, very, very good pitcher during his time, but I don't see a crazy difference between him and really Mark Burley. I think Mark Burley and him were very similar in their time. They were both just very good in their time, and maybe one day they'll get in. But I think Andy Pettitte also has the steroid thing that is linked to him, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he will get in. Maybe one day, but I don't. It's just not going to be this year. Torrey Hunter. I left Torrey Hunter off this year. Same reason. Just think that he is. I think he eventually gets in, but I just don't think it's just not this year. I don't think I'm ready to put him in this year. Who else? Omar Vizquel. Omar Vizquel is always a topic of conversation when it comes to Hall of Fame because people value certain things differently. Again, that I do. I don't value Gold Gloves nearly as much as some people do. he was a very good defensive shortstop. I won't say that he's not. I'm almost positive he has he has the best fielding percentage of all time at the shortstop position, but I won't be shocked if it's just of all time. But anyway, he's got this best fielding percentage of the shortstop position. Now, as great as that is, he was a pitiful hitter. And people will look at his stats and go, "Well, he had this many hits." He also played 20 some years. He's going to get hits. As long as he's still in the lineup, he's going to find his way into hits. He was never a very good offensive player. He's strictly a defensive player, and that's it. I could find a reason to put in a lot of players over him. It's just I don't know. I would rather have the value of other people's bats than the value of just his glove. Because I think there's a lot of very, very good defensive players who won't make it because that's all they wear. Gold gloves don't really appeal to me. Gold glove is a popularity stat. I mean a popularity vote. It's pretty much as good as a fan vote. So I'm not really big on awarding gold gloves as being a reason why you're in the Hall of Fame. Really doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather see Hall of Famers aren't just one-sided, really. I mean, I know you're just probably going to be like, well, you voted for Bobby Bray. But Bobby Bray was just his offense, in my opinion, outweighs Omar Vizquel. He just outweighs him completely. And I'd rather have Bobby Bray's bat than Omar Vizquel because I can find a shortstop who can, and I don't really, it doesn't really appeal to me. So, but yeah, I left Omar off. And the fact that now he's got this, like his third domestic abuse thing that just came up. I mean, he's not worthy of a Hall of Fame vote, and he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame right now, at least. Eventually, I think he gets in, but I'm not the one voting for him. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who do, and a lot of people who who hold Gold Gloves to a higher standard. I mean, like for instance, he won two Gold Gloves later in his career, and he was barely that good defensively at that point in his career. He was good. He was still durable and was able to catch the baseball. But at one point, he started getting them because he's Omar Vizquel. It started being less. It started being less about his actual defensive skill and more about his name, which I don't agree with. And I think that it was more of like a stat padded situation than it was somebody actually deserving to get the Gold Glove. Because I was talking to some guys before about it, and I think there was like 4 or 5 different times where he wasn't even remotely close to being the best defensive shortstop that year, and he won the Gold Glove. It's just sometimes voters have a man crush on guys, and that's what happened. He ended up getting in because of a man crush, which I'm not big on, but it is what it is. Do what you got to do. Yeah. I mean, it's Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland is probably another guy that people are like, why would you vote him in? Well, Scott Rowland was just an all-around great player. His entire career, he was just a standout third baseman for almost the entirety of his career. He was incredible. So I did a list of the best, all of the current guys, the guys who were up for the Hall of Fame this year, and I did a list of the top 15 in OPS. Scott Rowland was number 8. He's ahead of Aramis Ramirez. He was ahead of Andrew Jones, Michael Goodire, Nick Swisher, Torrey Hunter, who I'm sure a lot of people will wonder why he's not, I wouldn't vote him over certain guys, especially like a Scott Rowland. But this is a big reason why. Jamie Dorino, who I don't ever see, he's another one. He's probably going to be voted off the ballot this year. This is probably going to be his one and only season on the ballot, kind of like a Nick Swisher and a Michael Goodire. They'll both probably be off the ballot after this season. I don't see them getting 5% of the vote or 5.5, whatever the number is. I believe it's 5.5. I believe it's 5. you have to get. But I don't see him get. I don't see all three of them. I don't see the three of them getting them. I honestly don't see the three of them getting that combined. But they were just three good players who played in their time, and that was about it. They were role players pretty much in their time. Um, and the 15th worst OPS on the Hall of Fame ballot for offensive players is none other than Omar Vizquel, and that is a big reason why I am not putting him on. He is the 15th out of 15 when it comes to offense. He was never a power hitter, so I'm not going to sit there and hate on him for not being a power hitter because not everyone hits for power, but I will hate on him for not doing anything else offensively. Wasn't getting on base, wasn't getting anything more than probably a couple singles. He's just okay. And that's where I leave Omar Vizquel off because he is as good as he was defensively, he was that bad offensively, which is why he will not be voted for, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I saw that was my votes that I had out there. That was who I had, and that was the guys that I voted for. This is my nifty ballot right here of all the things that I wrote on. There was a couple players that I batted around a couple times with what's going on with Cincy and the Cleveland Indians. Well, one, you're not allowed to say Cleveland Indians anymore. That is not allowed. And the Cincinnati Reds, they seem like they're selling. That's what that seems like to me. It seems like the Cincinnati Reds are selling, and they don't seem like they're really interested in going further, which kind of bums me up because I like to see Terry Francona succeed, and I like to see Terry Francona get to the postseason. I'm not sure what their plans are for later on, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm hoping that I would like to see them keep. I would love to see them keep. I'd love to see them keep Francisco Lindor. That is a guy that I'm a big fan of, and I think he is a extremely good ball player. And it would suck to see them let go of a stud who can be an anchor on that team. But and to go with Jose Ramirez, who's also a very good player. So I'd love to see that. Get another question here. We have best pitching on the free agency from Sean Burke. What's up, Sean? The best pitching on free agency right now, I mean, it's Trevor Bauer. And then Trevor Bauer. That's pretty, he's hands down by far the best starting pitcher on the free agent list. I went over this last week. I went over the best free agents last week. But Trevor Bauer, John Lester, Cole Hamels, Jake Odorizzi, Corey Kluber, and Masahiro Tanaka are probably the best five, or best six. But other than that, that's where I saw that. Wasn't really planning on taking questions, but I figured, hey, why not? Got a little time here. Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner pitched 8 scoreless innings in game 4. It seems like this dude just gave me a stat. That was pretty much it. Madison Bumgarner pitched 8 scoreless innings in game 4 of the 2010 World Series, helping the franchise win first World Series in San Francisco and the first since 1954. Nice job, buddy. I appreciate that. John Suggs says best rotation. I say Braves, Nationals, and Mets. Be interested to see what the White Sox, who have a bunch of young talent. It would be. The White Sox are going to be a good young team in general. So I see them definitely being really, really good, and this is going to be a really big year for them. But I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, the way the Padres are making it right now, 2022, they could easily, by far, have the best rotation in all of baseball. You got Clevenger coming back in 2022. You have Danielson, that's how you're supposed to say his name, Lamet. You have, hopefully you have, what's his name? You got Blake Snell now. You got Darvish. That's 4 starters right there. And I would not be shocked if Trevor Bauer ends up playing in San Diego to hang out with his friend, Mike Clevenger, who is, I brought up last time on the pod that they're best friends. And that seems like a spot that he could definitely find himself in. Yeah, man, that's all I got. That's my big spiel today. I'm all here by myself, so we didn't get as much action as I did as we did last time because just myself here today. But hopefully we're able to get some guests on here within the next couple of weeks with everything going on. I know, I know. If Bauer goes there, shit, you're right. There is nobody stopping that. It's probably going to be the yeah, Justin Board. He said if Bauer goes there, shit. Well, to be honest, that is scary. It reminds me a lot of when this is much better, but when the Phillies used to call themselves the Five Aces. I mean, you have five very very good pitchers if you add him there. So I mean, it's very possible. That is a definite possibility there. I mean, I hope and pray that he goes to the Angels. That's the best case scenario for him, and I think it's the best case scenario for the best player in baseball, Mike Trout. And he needs that. He needs starting pitching. He needs to be in the postseason. Baseball needs Mike Trout to be in the postseason. And I don't think anybody realizes. I hope everyone realizes that, but I don't think anyone realizes how desperate they need him in the postseason. So, Dodgers going to sign DJ because the Padres getting scary. I said that earlier to one of my buddies. I did, Dave. Dave Prince. Got my man who was on here with me the last time. Said Dodgers going to sign DJ because the Padres are getting scary. They are. They're getting dangerous. And I think I think I actually said it in our Slack chat with everybody that I think that is going to make sense. That makes a ton of sense. It's just they need something, and if to be honest, what they should do is just add offense and add bullpen because they have good starters. They have a good starting rotation there in LA, so it would be nice. D-Bake said throwback to the Braves too. It is a throwback. It is definitely a throwback to the Braves. And that's another one. Don't sleep on the Braves either. I mean, everyone's just going to keep sleeping on the Braves. I'm sure, Dave Prince is going to be happy that I said this, but don't sleep on the Braves. They are a good team, and they do what they can. I did hear that. I heard that a couple times. I haven't seen the full. I don't know if anybody who's on here has seen. Dave probably did it before anybody. I haven't seen any of like the full detail. Only ones I saw were Victor Caratini, Zach Davies. I don't know if there's anybody else who's going to be sent there. The question was any rumor the Padres getting Cronenworth back in return for Darvish. I missed the talk earlier. There was definitely talk though. There's been talk about Cronenworth, but there's also talk of it's either Cronenworth or Will Myers. Will Myers would be it's kind of funny that one was a top prospect before Cronenworth, Amaya, and Caratini. Wow, that's a haul. That's a small haul for him. I mean, Cronenworth was up for the rookie of the year this year, and I don't know. That's good ball player there. So yeah, boys, that's all I got tonight. Thanks for listening. I didn't mention this last time, but I'm going to be doing up until the season starts. I'll do every other Thursday, and then I'll do obviously, like I said, I came on here this week earlier in the week because of New Year's Eve being Thursday. I doubt anybody would give a shit to hear me talk about baseball on New Year's Eve because they'd rather be doing anything else right now because of the pandemic. But yeah, I'm doing every other Thursday. Go follow me on Twitter at Frozen Road Podcast. Go follow me on Instagram, same thing at Frozen Road Podcast, and go on to what is it? Spotify and Apple Podcast. Subscribe to the pod. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a happy and safe New Year. I am out.